Happy Friday, everyone. This is episode 21 of In the Hall. Thank you for being here. Hope you had a great week. Show is a little later than I wanted, but what are you going to do, huh? I went down to the lake last night and watched the SpaceX launch. They launched a rocket from Cape Canaveral, so I went down to the dock, got to see a good view of that. Me and Nancy went down there, and went right up over the water, and then it starts to curve. And Nancy goes, "It's curving." And I'm like, "It always does." Starts like a rocket and then just turns into a Southwest flight. You know, because you can't leave our atmosphere. NASA means deceive in Hebrew. It's all a lie in front of the Catholic Church. Space is fake. Space is fake. All right. Go to YouTube and watch the Mars camera live stream. Okay? There's a camera allegedly on Mars shooting in 4K. Yeah. Get all the way the fuck out of here with that. Okay? But then you go to click on the New York City live stream to see the camera that's filming the city, and it's blurry as hell. So you're telling me that I can barely get service with Sprint while standing on top of the cell phone tower. You're telling me you can get 4K footage from Mars, but I can't send a video longer than 5 minutes via text. Come on. I don't know. You can convince me either way. You know, is the earth flat? Is it round? Both sides make great points. And guess what? None of us have ever been up there, so not like we know. Anyway. Yeah, it was cool to see, man. I always like, growing up, I remember the rockets would go up. You'd hear the sonic booms. You know, pretty cool stuff. And, it's been my week, just juggling a lot, man. Trying to keep all the balls in the air. You know, staying focused, staying moving. Gotta be like a shark, man. Can't stop moving. Once you stop moving, that's when just doubt, all kinds of shit sets in. So if you're out there, just keep it moving. No Florida man news this week. Not this episode anyway. It was pretty horrific. Florida man didn't do anything funny this week. A lot of just horrific activity. We do have some Florida women. Told you guys, I'll never get it right. We have Florida woman news. A Florida woman, let me see. Florida woman who drove her SUV in bike lane for a quarter-mile fesses up. There's a sack of weed between her panties and pants, she says. So I have no details here. It was likely a fuzzy drive for a 33-year-old woman in Ocala, Florida, who was caught with a bunch of bud in her pants after being pulled over by police. So I don't know why she was in the bike lane. That's just most women driving in Florida in general. So I don't think her being high had to do anything with that. But yeah, that was it. Kind of boring. I mean, not boring if you looked at the real articles, but you know, we're trying to keep it light here in the hall. And that's it for that. I don't know, dude. I got this ad. I get the weirdest ads. I mean, I'm sure it happens to everyone. I got this ad on my phone for an app. It's a major breakthrough in science. It is an app where you can take a picture of a mushroom, and it tells you what kind of mushroom it is. Now I go, who is using this? Okay? This has got to be fake. This is bullshit. Because the only mushroom that you would need to know is this a portobello mushroom? Or is this a magic mushroom that's going to make me trip? Okay? Anything other than that. If you're picking your mushrooms in the wild, okay, that's on you. All right? But if you're going to the grocery store and getting like a portobello or a baby bella or whatever, you know, that's the only mushrooms I mess with. So I had to read the reviews. because this app just seems outrageous. All right, here it is. Mushroom Identify, automatic picture recognition. So far, it has over 900 species of mushrooms uploaded. So this is people that write, amazing. Fungus identification is difficult for computers. This does a pretty good job. Who are these people? Andrew says, I like this app quite a lot. I had it years ago. Glad to see that it's been updated. Nice app. I do wish it had more features. What, Ryan Heath? What features do you wish that it had? Do you wish it uploaded to your Instagram? You loser. It's a project in the works. Will get better with more users. Has a good base of mushrooms for identification purposes. Give it a try. It's free. Yeah, how about no, Russell Ashton? Oh, my gosh. This guy, Thomas Jenkins, kept it real. He put, this app is, at best, useless and probably dangerous. Humans, experts, mycologists, have trouble identifying mushrooms in nature, let alone from a picture. You cannot even tell a scale size of a mushroom from a picture. If you want to implement it in a safe way, make it cartoonish or something, so it would be obvious it's just a game. Or better, make a phone that can sequence DNA. Okay, Thomas, ain't no one making a DNA phone yet. But, dude, it has thousands of reviews. You realize a team of people, probably in Silicon Valley, sat down and created the Mushroom Identification app. I hope they lost friends while building this app. I hope someone was like dating someone and she's like, hey, how come we never go out anymore? And he goes, you know why? Because I'm working on this app. And she goes, oh, really? Is it like a game or some kind of software? He goes, yeah, it's going to help a lot of people. She goes, what is it? Is it in the medical field? He goes, even better. What you do is if you come across a mushroom, you take a picture of it, and it'll tell you what kind of mushroom it is. And that's what she'll say as she drives off. I hope somebody was invited to a wedding and they say, hey, Brandon, man, you know I'd love to be there, but, you know, me and my team are just putting this app together right now. He goes, oh, yeah, I heard about that app, man. He goes, dang, it's a bummer you couldn't come, man. I was hoping you'd be one of the groomsmen. And he goes, yeah, it's pretty important, though. You know, I'm pushing a deadline. And he goes, so what is that app anyway? It's so important. He goes, all right. He goes, don't tell anyone because it's still in the works. But pretty much this is it. Say you're in your front yard and there's a mushroom. And he goes, then what? Bro, this is just ridiculous. I actually was in Silicon Valley a few years back, and I met a guy who was building an app that detected earthquakes. And I was like, man, that's awesome. And he goes, yeah, so far I have it up to 4 seconds. I go, 4 seconds? He goes, yeah, it'll let you know there's an earthquake 4 seconds before it occurs. And I go, oh, well, at 4 seconds, I would just rather not know, you know? I can wait the 4 seconds. Okay, 4 seconds isn't even enough time to tell your friends in the room that there's an earthquake. You know, you get an alert on your phone. It's like, wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. And their friends are like, bro, that's your ringtone? What the fuck kind of ringtone is that? And you go, it's not my ringtone. It's a earthquake. Like, bro, it's just, it's useless. All these apps are useless. So anyway, man, that's not really all I got to talk about. I've been getting back on stage this week, man. It feels so good to just be back, just shaking off the cobwebs. And, you know, I did twice in one night, man. It felt good. And, dude, I was kind of rusty at first, but, I'm getting the hang of it. I'm feeling way more relaxed than I was, when I was performing in LA. I feel like there's just less pressure now. Everyone's just kind of coming out, just getting back into it. It's very like no pressure, just going back to having a good time, man. Comedy starts with just, I want to make this bit work. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then, when you start, it happened in New York, but when you move to LA and it started to get, competitive is not the word, because it's never a competition. It's always with yourself, but, just kind of like a pressure of like, okay, I'm paying all this money to live here. It's a bitch to keep up the day-to-day life of comedy, and, you got to keep a day job and all that stuff. So I don't know. I just feel like I'm like in a full zen when I go into these clubs now. But dude, I was thinking about, every now and then I think about the worst I ever bombed. I have about three bombs that stick with me. The worst one, and I'm going to have Nick Tillell. You guys remember him from an earlier episode. He's probably going to be on the Monday show. He's going to call in for a little bit. But he was in the green room. Nancy was actually in the crowd. And she brought her family and people from work. And, dude, I ate it, bro. Like, the worst I have ever done. So I got, it was the finals of this competition. There was 10 comics remaining, it was like 200 to start. So the first round, we placed first. Second round, I think I got second. And then you just had to be top 3 each time to move on until it gets to the final 10 comics in the competition. So this place was packed. It was Governor's Comedy Club, Long Island, 300 seats. And then they sold so many tickets that people were standing in the back on the wall and by the exit door. And God, man, I remember it was just like, I always put so much pressure on myself. Like, oh, this is this show will make or break your career. I always do that to myself. So I'm in the back. I'm pacing. I'm going over my lines. I'm like whispering. I look like a mental patient, just walking back and forth, just reciting what I'm going to say. And they were like, hey, you're on in 5. And I go back in the green room, and this one comic before me is just murdering, because he dedicated his whole set to this tiny airport out in Islip, Long Island, called MacArthur Airport. And he was just making fun about how small it is and how fat he is and how, he's like, I'm fat and the airport's tiny. And he's just murdering because he's dropping all the local references. Anytime you do the local shit, and he's like naming streets, and these people are just dying laughing because this is, they know everything about it. And I just go, fuck, man. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to come out swinging. So I came out, right, and he's getting a damn standing O, because he just, he played it that way. Good on him. I go out there, I do my first joke, whiffs, nothing. Front row, a lady goes, "Aw." That's when you know it's over. I should have just left right then. I didn't even address the "aw." I just kept going. And to make it even worse, when your first joke doesn't hit, I did an overdose joke, which I didn't know at the time, but a lot of people in Long Island apparently overdosed. So it's a really good bit. I haven't done it in a while, but it was about a Subway ad that I saw, an ad on the Subway, I should say. If you go to the Subway or any of the train stations, they have ad space. They have banners. They put them on the seats. Wherever they can shove an ad, they'll put one on there. And one of the ads was, we're conducting a new study. We're seeking 1,000 participants to study the effects of heroin on the human brain. Right? So the bit was, I go, they're only accepting 1,000 people, and the participants receive $5,000 to participate in the study. And I go, I bet every junkie in the tri-state area is calling in going, do you guys provide this shit or do I got to bring my own? You know, and anywhere else, this bit was doing great. In the city, in Jersey, you know, Staten Island, any of the boroughs, this bit was going great. Not in Long Island. I tell this joke, dude, and it is silent. A couple people in the audience were crying. And I go, for a second, I said, wow, this joke is hitting so hard that people are actually in tears. Come to find out, they lost somebody. And they're coming down here trying to have a good time. And I'm bombing. And on top of that, I'm bombing with a heroin joke. So anyway, the bit was about how, you know, everyone wants to get in and do this study because then if you do the heroin study, you can afford an apartment that you can overdose in because there's no honor in overdosing in a 98 Camry. I don't remember the word for word. But basically it was like, you know, we found your son on the floor in his Manhattan apartment. And they're like, oh my God, we thought he lived in his car. And they're like, nah, he was doing pretty well for himself. You know, he tied off with a Gucci belt. And I had a few different lines in there. And bro, it was awful. And the only person laughing was this fat black dude in like the very back. He was going, ha ha, this motherfucker crazy. And I was just like, thank God. And I just started performing to him. And dude, it was just 10 minutes of just, I didn't even address, I was such a new comic. I didn't even like address the situation. You know, now I could definitely like, you know, I could pull up, but it was definitely Mayday, Mayday, weep, beep, beep, beep. You know, it was bad. And I look over and I see my girlfriend, her family, and I'm just like, my God, bro. Like, all these people came out just to watch me eat shit. And we went out to dinner after, and it was just so awkward. I should have just went home, dude. But it took me a few days to get over that one. And, God, I'm going to actually ask Nick about it because he was in the green room, and I want to know, like, because everyone has their own perspective. I got to hear his. But, man, I think that'll do it for episode 21. Thank you guys for tuning in. Just a little quick 18 minutes. We'll see you back here on Monday. And, guys, thanks again for subscribing, liking, sharing, and leaving a review, even if it's, you know, put 3 stars. I don't give a fuck. Just leave a review, and appreciate it. We'll see you next week.